Okay, so let's see where we left off on Friday. All right, was Friday the 23rd? I guess so. All right, so we completed update post by ID. We wrote tests and functions for update user by ID. And we learned that Mocha runs all the before each functions after the before functions, which caused problems with our test. Do you remember that? Let's review. So we had, for example, in our user actions, in this describe, let's see, update user by ID. All right, so this describe update user by ID has this before each. Okay, and the before. So so for the update user by ID, before everyone, we wanted to reset the DB, right? And that's totally understandable. You always want to reset the DB before every test. But the problem is, here, I wanted to do this only once. I only wanted to update once before I tested all of the properties. There was no real reason for me to update, like to re-update every time before testing every property. That's just going to slow my tests down. So, so I'm like, okay, great. It'll run the before each and reset the DB, and then it'll run the before. But no, right? It's going to run the before here, and then it's going to run the before each for every test. Motherfucker. Okay, so so what we need to do is we can't have that before each up here. We just can't. It does not work in conjunction with the befores. So, and as a matter of fact, it's actually not really what we want to do, because we don't want to reset the database before each of these tests. So instead, what I need to do is I just need to add that database reset to each of my befores. So here I have a before, and I'll do a reset DB, reset DB. Dot then we'll do this, and dot then we'll do, so we have a one dot then and then another dot then. Okay. All right, how's everybody feeling about this? Good call. That's good, Kelsey. Okay, so let's do the same thing with our before down here. Okay, and we really should do the same thing for our post stuff. Why our post stuff ever worked, I'm actually not sure, but so we'll do, somebody was smarter in our post stuff, and we did the reset DB in the befores and not the before each, and that's why it worked. Although this one, I think that we need to do, okay, let's run our tests and see what happens. Awesome. Okay, so Okay. Cool. If I was really demonstrating like really proper Git stuff, I should be making a branch for each of these features and then doing a pull request and merging it back in. So just feel the need to say that. Okay, so let's go back to the README. And 27th. February's over tomorrow. What's that? Okay.
Leap year?
It's not. Leap years are the same years as presidential elections, which are the same year as Summer Olympics.
I was born in a leap year.
Were you really? Were you born on February 29th?
No, I was.
Oh, bummer. Okay.
I was born on the last day of like any normal year, the 365th day.
Oh, but you were born on 366. Oh, that's cool. All right, so okay. All right, cool. Let's figure out where we are. Let's go back to our whiteboard. So we did the update user, which means that we've actually finished that whole users thing. Great. We did the update posts, so we finished this whole posts thing. Amazing. Comments later, so now we just have to do cities, and then we're finally done with our database stuff after like 6 weeks. So, all right, and then we can start getting into routes. Okay, so cities. Let's get city information, including all posts, and get lists of cities. That sounds super easy. Let's do get lists of cities first, shall we? Because that sounds even easier. So we'll do our typical thing. We'll go into, we'll make get cities, get city names, because that's really all we're going to get, right? Names and IDs.
Yeah, I was trying to think if there's anything else.
Not for the get list, right? For when we get the city, when we get individual city information, but get.
Don't we also have that city description?
Oh, okay. All right. So we'll just say get city list. Okay. Actually, yeah. Let's actually look back. We haven't looked at our wireframes in a long time, so doesn't even look like I have it here, but. My README is amazing, and it has a link to the module. So, all right. So, where are we actually listing cities?
Yeah, here there is no.
We're never actually listing cities.
I think it was a stretch spec to have like a list of all the cities that the user posted to.
Oh no. It says somewhere like
View all vagabond cities as markers or pins on a map. That's not even oh, that is a stretch. Say that again? Oh. The user should be able to view city pages, see a list of city pages. This is stretch. Well, screw that. All right, so I don't think, forget that. Let's, okay, screw that. All right, we are gonna need to get city information for a city page though. So, let's see. So if we look at these, what should I call that action? Just to be consistent with my other actions.
Get city baddie.
Yeah. So, and we'll we'll do get city by ID here, and it's going to be similar to get user by ID, right? Because, oh, talk about inconsistency. This says get user data and not get user by ID. Let's change that. So first of all, let's, yeah, okay. So I think we want to change this. Well, okay, so here's the question. Do we want to say get post data and get city data, or do we like get city by ID, get user by ID? Which one do we like better?
I personally prefer ID just because it's really clear, like, how we're getting that data. But
Other people have opinions? Okay. All right, I'm getting lukewarm, like, sure. Okay, so, okay. So let's do a git move of get user data to get user by ID. And now I'm sure I import that somewhere. So all of you, it's pretty universal for editors to do Command-Shift-F, which is find in all files. So we'll look at get user data, and let's actually replace it. Oh, really? All right, well, we'll just search. I think it's only in one. No, it's in 3 files. Oh, well, so as in get, it's in the README, but we can just say in our README now, let's see. Fine. And I really do just want to replace all. So does anybody have the keyboard shortcut for replace all? Does anybody know it?
When you do Command F, if you find and then it also should allow you to replace it at the bottom.
No. Oh, what if I do this? Ah, okay. All right, so get user data will get user by ID. And that looks like replace all. Sure. Oh, except here. And actually, these were all get user data. Oh my God, spent days on that. Okay. Okay, cool. Let's run our tests just to see whether they all still work. This is another really great reason to have tests, right? Yes? Yes. Thank you. Look at that, they don't, because something didn't get updated. That's interesting. I thought I updated all. Oh, maybe I didn't save. Let's, okay. Looks like we're good. Let's try again. Still? Okay, what file are we in? Useractions.js. Oh, okay, whatever. That didn't get saved. Okay, cool. I know, wasn't that satisfying? You're like, great, it all still works. Okay. All right, so back to get city by ID. Oh, I learned this, and this is a shortcut for VS Code, but KU, or Command K and then U is close all unedited files. or, you know, close all saved files, because sometimes it just gets to be a mess. When we're gonna, in our tests, we're gonna make a city actions. Okay. So let's open city actions, and we'll open city, get city by ID. And then let's also open user actions and get user by ID so we can do some good copy paste. Okay, so in fact, I'm just gonna copy this whole thing and put it into get city by ID. And then obviously this is not going to be correct. So, were we getting not user by ID, but were we getting user, get user by ID is not even correct. It's get user by email. But we already have a get user by email. So that's interesting. Okay, so let's call it get user data by email. Get user data by email, or we can go with Kelsey's terse get user. That's okay. There's pros and cons.
Getting the post in this one?
Yeah. Get user posts by email, but we also get this other user data as well.
That's why we call it get user to take that in the first place.
Okay, so let's go back and let's call it get user data by email. Okay, so now let's just go into the README, because I don't want to have to deal with this entire thing. Actually, I have another idea. Okay, all right, so I'm going to do it. Now I'm going to do get user by ID. I'm going to change it to get user data by email. I am going to replace all, so let's, do you have to find first? Okay. I am going to replace all, even though it's going to replace everything in here. Now I'm going to do this, and I'll do that, and then, no, actually, no, actually that worked out fine. Okay, so, and now let's make sure, it's weird that it doesn't save everything, although maybe not, I don't know. Let's run the tests again. Awesome. Okay. So get user data by email. And now for consistency, move get city by ID to get city data by ID. And I'm also going to move get post by ID. Right now, we're not actually getting any post data because we're not getting the comments. But in 18 months or so, when we work on our stretch goals, we will actually get the comments for the posts as well. So, and so now we have to go and do more. Place all. Now save this, go back to the README and save it, but then get post data by email. No, 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 no. What'd you say?
I'm looking at the date thinking, did we do that?
Oh, February 16th. But yeah, I mean, I did the wrong, replacement. Okay. Now, in the README, we just want to say get post by ID, and then up here, say, wait. Okay. All right, so how are we doing? Not so good. Okay. So we're probably in post actions, which is not saved. Try again. Cool. Okay. So, all right, now that we've got the groundwork done, so now we want get city by ID, and okay, so what keys? Okay, so we want get city table data, and we're probably going to want to get. So for the city, do we actually need to get the posts?
Yeah, on the city page we should see.
On the city page, we should see the posts. Okay. So we probably want to have a get posts by city ID then. Okay, good to know. Get city table data and posts for a given an ID, right? So this is going to be a number, although probably actually going to be a string, but I'm going to deal with number anyway. It's underlining this because I don't actually have ID here, so make you happy. ID to get data, and it returns a promise resolving to an object with the keys. Let's figure out what keys our promise should resolve to. So let's look at schema. So our city has an ID, a name, a latitude, a longitude, an image URL, and a description. Should we get them all? Yeah, let's do it. Longitude and latitude, that's our stretch goal for 2 years from now. Okay, but we might as well. Okay, so ID, name, latitude, longitude, image URL, and description. Oh, this is where I get to do my fun, like, okay, so now I can do, I think there's a way to do this without the mouse, but at least, okay, so Wait, what? You don't, okay. Okay. So, all right, value is an array containing post data for city, or null if the city wasn't found. Okay, and I'm just going to do my usual for my tests, return promise dot resolve, like so. Okay, cool. But somebody said something. No. Okay, so let's actually, we don't actually have a get posts by city ID, so let's do that. And again, we're just gonna basically copy this, paste it. So get, I'm just gonna for now do cities. Gets, no. Array of objects. Okay, so get posts city ID, and do I need, oh, that's interesting. So I'm getting the city name here. I wonder if when I get posts, do you think I should get both the city and the username? Like I think for the post we want like, although maybe we don't need the city name when we're getting it for the city, and maybe we just need the username when we're getting it for the city. Are you with me, or are people tuned out because this is all too boilerplate?
Yeah, that makes sense because they're probably going to show the username on the post.
Right, and we don't, and because it's the city page, we don't need to show the city. Just like on the user page, we didn't need to show the user because presumably it was like listed at the top somewhere. Okay. All right, so, okay. I'm not doing TDD on this one because I'm too lazy, and instead let's just open city actions and open user actions, and we'll interesting. Okay. Oh, you know, we don't really have an add new city function, do we? I guess users can't add a city, but we're going to have to add a city at some point, right? Or maybe not. Maybe we just add cities manually by stretch goals. Okay, right. So all right. So actually, and we don't need this, and we don't need this. Wait, hold on. There was a posts thing in there that I got rid of. Did we never check the get posts, or maybe we did that in the posts? So I'm wondering if we ever tested get posts by user ID. Nope, we never tested it. Shame on us. I think that day I might have been like, I'm getting tired of testing. Let's not do this. So, okay. How do we feel about testing get posts by city ID? Don't ask. I'm gonna leave it up to you. This is what you do when you want kids to learn to trust their conscience instead of like just doing whatever adults tell them. So I leave it up to you. Should we test? I will actually accept any answer.
Yes.
Okay, we've got one vote for yes.
My conscience is just my internalized Bonnie.
Yeah. Okay, nobody's brave enough to say no. So
Yeah, I do because it's very gonna be complicated.
okay, cool. So Kelsey was asking me what I like about VS Code, and this is one thing that I like very much about VS Code, right? Is that it like totally gives you. Okay, is it really? Is it a plugin or?
Probably.
Yeah. Okay.
I have like a million of those plugins.
Yeah. Which makes Atom slower to start up.
Yeah.
But you know, whatever. I'm actually not a VS Code evangelist, so it's just.
Just I wish we were told about VS Code when we started. We started with Atom.
And then you're in too deep. Yeah. I was also telling Kelsey, one of the reasons I use VS Code is when I went to November, like 75% of the people there were using VS Code. And so it seemed like the wave of the future, or at least the current trend. Okay. So get posts by city ID. Okay. Okay, so let's do a describe. All right, so how are we going to test get posts by city ID?
Would you call the function?
Let's do it. Okay, but let's actually have a broader plan. What things are we going to test?
If it returns the ID and title.
If it returns the name and ID, oh, and actually, and yeah, this is wrong. So we can test keys that we get back for sure. So yes, so I want to do one or a series of tests that test the IDs I get back. What other tests do I want to do?
What it returns when there isn't a city ID with a matching.
What it returns when we don't have a match. Yeah. Okay. What should it return if we don't have a match? Okay.
If we don't have matches, if we don't have that city or that
If that city ID, yeah. Better? Okay, so all right. So I want two series of tests. One is going to be city or we can use context because I know you guys like that. Context city, but context and describe are really just synonyms. Exists in the database. And then context city does not exist.
So one question I just thought of.
Yeah.
So are we going to have two different outcomes if the city ID doesn't exist in the database, or if the city ID does exist in the database, but there just aren't any posts yet for the city?
Oh, okay. City exists in the database. So we want to make sure that we don't get like an error if there are no posts. Good. Good. We've got some context here. Yeah.
I'm just wondering if anybody ever just sees a database with like something that says no posts, like it's a city. Like,
We are actually going to do that with our test database. Like, so right now, but you wouldn't do that with your production database. There's no reason to.
but like just to have when something shows up, or like when you go to the page in real life, it's a working and you have a city without it.
Oh, when we first seed this database, will we actually seed posts or will we just seed cities? Is that your question?
I was just, well, I don't know. It's kind of,
No,
But I think- Oh, yeah, go for it.
Let's say, I hear what you're talking about. I think I'm with when I did Rome, what I ended up doing is like, okay, either like return a div if that has like these posts, or if like the length of posts is 0, return a div that just says like create, no posts yet. You want to create one? Like,
Right.
that's how I.
like have it. Well, yeah, but mine was like my idea was like just to have the database return when like it'll act like it's a city, so it'll populate the page, but it'll just say this is not a city. This is there are no posts.
But I think the reason you want to do that is for testing purposes, right?
I just was thinking of a way to make the page look decent without doing like an if, like a if thing on the DOM or the
So-
JavaScript thing, basically.
Okay, so you're talking about, but there's no reason to have that in the database. There's no reason to have a city with no posts in the database. You could have a view that is different for cities with no posts. The only reason to have it in the database is if you personally want to make sure it looks okay, right?
Yeah.
But we do that with tests instead.
Yeah.
So only in our test database would we have that. Yeah, although, when we're actually doing stuff, we may do that just because we are visual people and we like that. But I was talking about jest before, and we can, like that's good for a jest snapshot, is to have like a city with nothing. Oh, jest. Okay. Cool. Let's, so city does not exist in the database. Let's just do it before. And actually, yeah, so this, we don't need to do anything. It's not like we need to add a city. We already have a perfectly good function. It's called resetDB, but we have to return it. Okay. Actually, that should work. Implicit return. And then it should return null. Oh, right. No, but then we have to actually do the, okay, Now I'm just confused. What on earth are we doing? Good, Saved by the Bell. An array of objects. Okay, cool. Right, an empty array versus null, which is what James was saying. Okay. All right. We have good stuff to dig into tomorrow.